Hi guys, Dan here for BladeReviews.com, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Benchmade 275 Adamas. It's a large folding tactical knife from Benchmade. Let's just get right into it. What we've got here is a knife with an overall length of 8.7 inches. It's got a 3.82 inch long blade, and we've got a weight here of 7.7 ounces. I'd like to compare this against a couple popular folding tactical knives. Of course, what I'm going to show you first is a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, absolute modern classic, and then I've got another modern classic. I've got a Benchmade Griptilian. So hopefully this will give you some ideas to what to expect if you were interested in purchasing a 275. It is a larger knife, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can communicate through the size comparisons here. Let's talk a little bit about the weight and what you might use this for. This is a very substantial knife at almost 8 ounces. It's quite thick. Let me show you how thick it is compared to a Benchmade Griptilian, a knife that a lot of people already consider pretty thick. So, you know, the 275, it just dwarfs this little Griptilian. So, this is the full-size Griptilian, believe it or not. So this is a very stout knife. It's designed for hard use. It's actually been manufactured for military and law enforcement personnel, and so it's you know, if heavy knives are your thing, or if they're not your thing, you know, just keep that in mind, because it certainly is a big, beefy blade, and it's been designed to not just take some use, but to take some serious abuse as well. Let's take a closer look at that blade shape. What we've got here is a drop point design. You've got a partial flat grind here. It starts about halfway up the knife. There's a swedge that is kind of been put here to enhance the penetration ability of the knife. The edge has been really nicely applied. They've given you a nice big secondary bevel here, so shouldn't have any issue sharpening it or anything like that. Turning the knife over, you can see just how thick this blade is. What you've got here is 4 millimeters of D2 tool steel, 4 millimeters thick at least, and it tapers down to what is still a pretty stout tip. So very, very strong blade. It definitely matches the rest of the knife here. D2 is sometimes referred to as a semi-stainless steel. It's not quite stainless, but it does exhibit some properties of a stainless steel. It's not going to rust quite as easily as, say, 1095 or something like that, but it definitely will rust and form a patina if you're not careful with it. I think that's why Benchmade went with this nice black coating here. That was a good choice for D2. Practical experience with D2. It's a steel that I've had some experience with, not a ton. It is a little more difficult to sharpen than most steels, but the edge that you can get on there is going to be quite good, and it's going to hold that edge for a long time. I think it was a great choice for a hard use knife like this. It may not be the easiest thing to sharpen in the field, but it shouldn't be totally impossible. So I think it was a good compromise of toughness, edge retention, and yeah, ease of sharpening, all that stuff. So I think it was a good choice here. I like D2. Taking a closer look at the handle, the first thing I want to mention is that this is actually a special edition of the knife. If you don't get this limited edition black on black version, you're going to be stuck with the tan handled version, which actually I think I prefer over the all black. I don't know. I've just got so many black knives in my collection. It's refreshing to get a little bit of color. So if I were to go back and buy this one over again, I would get the desert tan version anyways. But regardless of the color that you end up getting, it's going to be a nicely finished piece of G10 over a full stainless steel liner. Of course, that's repeated on the other side. What you've got is screw together construction. You've got a partial backspacer, and yes, the liners have been nicely milled out in order to try and lighten this thing up a little bit. So, you know, that's always nice to see. They at least attempted to make it a little bit lighter. All said and done, though, the handle here has been really well manufactured. Everything is, you know, fits together nicely. It's a Benchmade, and it certainly shows in the handle construction. In hand, the 275 feels very comfortable. It's a nice thick handle. It really fills the hand. It doesn't feel uncomfortable. The corners are rounded, so you don't have any issues with that. And there's a nice thumb ramp here. It's got some good jimping on top, and you know, your thumb is held in place. In the bottom, where your finger would go, there's been a little more jimping, a little more texturing. So it's just going to help keep your grip on this knife. In reverse grip, the 275 again feels nice and comfortable. You can see there's a nice place for your thumb. It's been given a lot of texturing, so it just feels good. If you're going to have to use this one in a reverse grip, I think it's going to get the job done. You're going to be able to get a lot of leverage on it. So ergonomics, all in all, I think they're quite nice. Let's take a closer look at the pocket clip, which is perhaps my main grievance with this knife is the clip. It doesn't have very good retention. You can see it just sort of sticks out. It doesn't make contact with the handle. It's kind of flimsy. For a 7.7 ounce knife like this, I really want a nice sturdy clip, and the clip on this 275, it just leaves something to be desired, in my opinion at least. It is tip-up reversible though, so you've got the option of left or right side carry. That's nice. And if you don't like the clip, well, what you can do is use this included carrying case or carrying pouch that the 275 comes with. This is a Molle compatible pouch, I believe. It comes with this malice clip, so you can thread it through and attach it to some of your gear. If you're like I said, law enforcement or military, if you're one of those people that the knife was really designed for, you're going to be able to perhaps carry this on your vest or whatever piece of gear you would, whatever way you'd like to carry it. So I think that was a nice little touch for the average user, collector, average guys like me. I think we're just going to be stuck with the pocket clip for the most part, and I don't wear like a lot of tactical vests or anything like that, so I'd be using the pocket clip. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if it's just my knife, but it doesn't have a very stiff and sturdy clip. So, alright, so let's talk a little bit about the deployment on this 275 Adamas here. What you've got are a pair of ambidextrous thumb studs. The knife opens up very smoothly and surprisingly quickly for a big, heavy, non-assisted opener. Yeah, I've got no complaints at all with the deployment. It's super smooth, thanks in part to some large phosphor bronze washers here. Really do like it a lot. No complaints with the deployment. The lockup is equally impressive. Of course, what you have here is an axis lock. It's very strong, it's very sturdy, yet it's still easy to manipulate with one hand. I can close this one no problem, and I happen to be left-handed, so to have that kind of fully ambidextrous ability in your pocket knife, to me it's a big plus. So I do like it a lot. And I do like the 275. I think we've pretty much come to the end of the review here. Just to wrap things up, I'd like to offer a couple final thoughts. I think if you're in the market for a hard-use folding knife, then the 275 really shouldn't be ignored. Again, if weight's a real issue for you, if you're one of those people where that's a concern, then I really do suggest looking elsewhere. But if you're into the big, heavy-duty folding tactical knives, folding combat knives, whatever you want to call them, then yeah, this Adamas is quite impressive. I really like the materials. The level of fit and finish is very high. The USA manufacturing is always a big plus for me, so I think this one checks a lot of boxes. The only real issue I had with the knife was with this pocket clip. It just doesn't fit the overall theme of this knife. It looks good, and I guess I didn't really talk about that, but I'll tell you, it just doesn't have the level of retention that I'm looking for in a knife that's this heavy. So hopefully Benchmade will kind of go back to the drawing board, get that fixed up. I mean, this is one of the first production knives, so hopefully future generations of the 275 will have a slightly stiffer clip there, and that's really the only thing I can say about it. Aside from that, I think it's excellent. I do recommend it if you're in the market for this kind of knife. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Dan for BladeReviews.com. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions. Always enjoy hearing your feedback. Thanks again, take care, be safe, and we'll be back soon with another knife review.